Welcome back to the Pro Football Hall of Fame for another edition of the Pro Football Hall of Fame's Before the Snap series. This is your first time tuning in. First and foremost, thank you so much for giving time out of your busy schedules to watch this program. What you're going to learn about all the great and unique careers there are out in and around the NFL. They can be related to the game. They can be related to the business side. So many different things. And we're going to be focusing on the youth football side, which is near and dear to our hearts here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And if you tuned in for this program before, again, thank you so much for being a repeat viewer. We're super excited to have you back as well. My name is Jake Ray. I'm the Youth and Education Manager here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, where it's our mission to honor the greatest of the game, preserve its history, promote its values, and to celebrate excellence together. And those values we promote are those of commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and honesty, all of which make our Hall of Famers, all 362 of them, the best football players and minds that they can be, but it also made them great men, great individuals, great people in their community, and truly can make you a great member of any organization that you end up working for. And you'll be surprised, these values do pop up throughout the program day. You think there's no way we can talk about honesty or commitment, but all of these values play a pivotal role in making you the best student and employee that you can be. Before we do get started, I do have some special thank yous I'd like to pass out. First, I'd like to thank all of our teachers, administrators, educators, professors, anybody that allowed us to be a small part of your students' learning experience today. Whether you're watching us live in your classroom or you sent this out to the students watching live now, or you're watching us 6 months down the road as part of a lesson plan, we want to thank you so much for allowing us to be a small part of your students' learning experience. We'll also like to thank the students. Without you, this program doesn't take place. We say every week, Nathan and I, we have questions to ask, but nobody wants to hear from us. So this is the opportunity for students, for you to start your networking journey, ask questions to somebody who's currently working in the NFL. There's not very many chances you get the opportunity to do this. So we want to make sure you're taking full advantage of that. So as always, if you're watching this live, let us know your name, let us know the college you're watching from, the college you attend, and let us know what your question is. If you don't have a question, that's okay. Still let us know where you're watching from, but we highly encourage you to ask those questions. Like we said, Nathan's going to be watching those questions come in. We've had a good string of programs here with great questions from our students. So as we always say, let us know your name, the school you go to, and ask your question there in the live chat, and we'll do our best to make that as part of the program. And then lastly, I have to thank our special guest today, Mr. Romie Graham. Romie, thank you so much for being a part of the program today. And truly, thank you for everything you do for the game of football and inadvertently everything you do for us here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You might not know it, but the work that you have, especially being somebody right here in our backyard, and we've gotten to work together on a bunch of great things here over the past couple of years. So we do appreciate everything you do for the game of football, everything you do for the Hall of Fame, and everything, and for giving your time up to be a part of the program today. So with that, our special guest today is Romie Graham of the Cleveland Browns. He's the manager of youth football, is part of the community relations department. Before joining the Browns, he spent 6 years at Garfield Heights High School as the linkage coordinator and a football coach, working with at-risk youth. Prior to joining Garfield Heights, he was an assistant football coach at Allegheny College, where he coached the wide receivers. In 2014, he received his master's degrees in allied health and science from Otterbein University, and he graduated from Muskingum University with a bachelor's in physical health education in 2011. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Romie Graham to Before the Snap. Romie, welcome.
Jacob, thank you for having me. Nathan, same to you as well. And thanks for having me on. Thanks to the Hall of Fame, and I'm excited to be here. Looking forward to a great conversation with the youth, and we all know that the youth is our future. So I'm here to pour back and give everything I have to them.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate that and appreciate everything you do here in Northeast Ohio. So first and foremost, like to always start out with kind of that 10,000-foot view. And can you tell a little bit our viewers here today, what do you do on a day-to-day basis with your job, things you handle throughout the week, whether it's in the off season, during the season, some of the things you work on in the youth football world with the Cleveland Browns?
So first off, I would start by saying by us falling under the community relations department, we do it all. We touch every department within the organization. Every day is different. Every month is different. And the seasoned vets who are here, they would tell you every year is different. But during the summer is our busy time. That's when we have youth football camps. That's when we host our Legends Clinic, and that's when we're out and about in the community. Then once the season is over with, we go into training camp and we bring youth programs out to our training camp. We have this program that's called Bring the Dogs Out, which is awesome, where we highlight youth programs within our community, and they come out and they build like a gauntlet, a tunnel, and the players get to run through it. Once we get mid-season and it's kind of slow down, that's when we do more so of the recaps and tying up the loose ends of what we did throughout the year.
Awesome. So it sounds like, when we think of working in football, I think everybody kind of thinks, well, it's just 18 weeks out of the year. You're busy for 18 weeks and then you get some time off. Well, you can tell right there that that's not the how it works. Obviously, and you kind of said it's kind of the flip side almost. Your busy season is the off season when you're doing all these camps and clinics and getting out in the community. And then during the season, you're doing a lot of different things, but it kind of is that more repetition, some things that you'll be doing on a day-to-day basis. So looking at in the season, specifically on a game day, what does your game day look like? And what are some of the great things the Browns are doing in the community? I know I've been fortunate enough to see you guys out in the community on a Friday night working with high school football teams. So what are some of the things you guys do throughout the season to highlight what's going on in the community and highlight that youth football space?
So first, so on game day, say the game starts at 1 p.m. If you're a special guest, if you're pre-game or before, you have to arrive at the stadium at 9 a.m., between 9 and 10 a.m. So you come in, you go through rehearsal. Most of that is usually we'll have like coin toss captain where we like to highlight youth players through our communities. And we also have high school game of the week. We do this program where we go out every week, every Friday night, and we let the community pick. And we go to that game. The winner of the game, the head coach, and the MVP, we invite them to the next home game. And they're on the field for pre-game, and they also get a live moment. So on game day, if the game starts at 1, our department, we are normally at the stadium at 9:30 at the latest. So it's always something going on. And during the game, if you're performing at halftime, so you come, you drop your stuff off, and then we'll escort you to your seat. At the end of the first quarter, we'll go get you from whatever section that you're sitting, bring you to the locker room, and have you get dressed, perform at halftime, and then after halftime, we're taking you back to your seat. So like it's nonstop.
How does I'm trying to phrase this the right way so it doesn't sound too bad, but how do you feel, or what do you get out of seeing those moments of highlighting the community during an NFL game? A lot of these, you're highlighting youth football players, kids are playing at halftime, you're highlighting the high school kids and their coaches. How cool is it to see them soak in that moment? A lot of kids, we know the stats, being a player in the NFL, it's not the easiest thing to accomplish. So a lot of these players, they're stepping onto the NFL field for the first and maybe only time. And it's not to play, but to be highlighted. When you see them on the big screen, you kind of take the step back behind everybody who's running game ops and you're watching the moment live. What is that like for you? And what are some of the cool stories you've seen when you're, highlighting these youth football teams and players throughout your time with Cleveland?
So we have our program called Rookie Tackle, and so during the preseason we brought out 8 different rookie tackle teams, and they actually got to play on the field at halftime. So that's a lifetime experience that they will remember for the rest of their lives. But also on top of that, it's the giving back factor. It's the one team in particular. They brought in like thank you cards, and it's just stuff like that. Like you cannot put a value on things like that. And me personally, I take pride in giving back to the community, being a role model and being a mentor. So that's my pride and joy. That's what I love doing. So anytime I get a chance to give back to the community, I'm always for it. And like I said, you just can't put a price on that.
How does your background help with that? You have spent time in high school and college levels working around that education, at-risk youth. How does that play into what you do now? Because, we've talked about here before, if you have something you're passionate about, for you, it's working with the youth. There's a very, very good chance you can take what you're passionate in and combine that with sports and find the job there if you do love sports. So I think you're a great example of kind of finding that job. So why is it important for you to give back, and how has your past experiences helped with your current role?
So it's very important to me, and I'm grateful and I'm humble for everything that I have, and it's because of my upbringing. So I was born in Kingston, Jamaica, Then I came to the States when I was in the second grade or whatever. So that there in itself, like I look at it like why me? So why me? And then as I got older, it changed to why not me? And if I'm blessed with this opportunity, I already won. I've won already just because of where I come from. So with that being said, I'm grateful. I treat everyone with respect, and I treat everyone as if they're the CEO of whatever they're doing. So I think that's where my mindset come from, because like I was blessed with this unbelievable opportunity that so many people will literally probably die for. Why would I waste time, and why would I throw it away? So that's sort of my background, my mentality, and why I move the way I move.
Yeah, the old adage, you never work a day in your life if you love what you do. And I think that right there summed it up perfectly. You talked about your upbringing and how it led to where you are today. And I think that's super important. And if you don't want to work in sports, perfectly fine. We all work in sports. We're gonna suggest that's where you find, because it's such a good, career path to have. But there are so many things out there, and if you truly find what you love to do, like we said, it's not hard to wake up in the morning and go into the office for sure.
Exactly. And like I said, I keep harping on this, but it's like it's the giving back factor. It's the giving back to the community. Like I take extreme pride in going back to the low income communities and giving back, because when I go back, I see myself. I see myself in those kids. And I also go back with the mindset that they're always evaluating me. They're looking at me, and it's yes, you can be me. Yes, you can do this. Yes, you can be successful, no matter your upbringing or your circumstances. So that's it. That's it.
Awesome. Well, with that, I know we got at least one question so far in our live chat. So we're going to throw it out to Nathan Martin, the Youth and Education Coordinator, who's sitting on the other side of this wall here from me in our conference room upstairs here. And I know there's just one question. He might have some others he'd like to ask, but we're going to throw it to him, and I'm sure we're going to get some encouragement for our students to ask some more questions as well. So Nathan, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Yeah, Jake, thanks so much for sending it out here to me. Romie, thanks for being a part of the program with us today. We're really excited to have someone, just an hour north of us joining us here for Before the Snap. And Jake is right. We have one student question. I'm going to get to that. But before I get to that question, I want to ask a personal question, because reading your bio, kind of getting on your LinkedIn, kind of learning more about who you are and your background, you have a coaching background. And a lot of students, when they grow up and they think, oh, I'm going to work in sports, if they're not playing, then they probably think athletic director or coach. And can you kind of explain to us that transition that you had, being at Garfield Heights, coaching and working in the building, and now all of a sudden you're working for the Cleveland Browns, one of 32 NFL organizations. Like, how does that even work? It doesn't really seem like the, I guess, standard operating procedure for how someone gets a job working in the NFL.
So I think it goes back to what I said earlier. You treat everyone with respect, no matter who they are or what the position is. So the guy that I replaced, Daryl Taylor, he used to always have clinics and camps, and would always reach out to the high school coaches. I would always volunteer every chance that I got. And again, I'm a coach. I love coaching. I don't care if it's coaching flag football, college, NFL, coaching boys, girls, whatever. If I'm coaching you, I am going to coach you, and I'm going to give you my all, because that's what I'm passionate about. And coaching is we're teachers. So I really take pride in that. And then once he left, someone reached out to me and was like, hey, they're looking for someone. Would you be interested? I was like, absolutely. Because now the two are married. Now it's football and also giving back to the community. The two things that I love the most. So if I can do it all at one spot, then that's a no brainer. But and to be honest, the learning curve is absolutely here, because I'm coming from the educational background where we know what it is and we know how to maneuver it. So now I'm in the business world, and the business world is a little different from the educational world. So definitely a learning curve, but it's one of those situations where you need a full year to understand. And I said this earlier. No day is the same. No month is the same. No game is the same. You just have to go through it to finally to understand it.
Yeah, that's really amazing. And I love how you've kind of already tied in. You talk about treating everybody that you meet kind of like they're the CEO of what they're doing. And that helps build relationships. We're going to encourage the students to build a network that helps build a network. And that's really your story of how you got that position with the Browns is the network. You treated Daryl with respect, and then he leaves, and people are like, hey, we remember Romie. He was a great guy. Maybe he's got some interest. And here you are today, esteemed guest here on Before the Snap with the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But let's get to our first student question. And this is from Tanish, I believe I'm saying that correctly, a student from Rutgers over in New Jersey. And I'm going to kind of ask it in two ways, Romie, because you work in community relations, youth football. And Tanish is curious, how do you get involved in data analytics in the NFL? So maybe you can just answer that more broadly. Advice for students. How do they kind of get their foot in the door in whatever area they have interest? It could be in marketing, it could be data analytics, it could be community relations. How would you advise them to kind of get their foot in the door? And then maybe even some ways that you're seeing data analytics being used in and around the office there in Cleveland.
So especially for us, our data analytics, it's big, it's huge. I think we have a whole department on that. So, and how do you get into it? You have to be out there looking for it. Like any chance you get to network, you have to network. You have to tell people what you want to do, tell them what you're interested in. You never know if, like on the flip side, like I like real estate. So like I openly talk about real estate whenever I can. So you have to get to the point where people tell you, stop talking about that. But at the same time, that's how people are going to know that you're interested in what you're interested in. And all these pro teams, they're all about data analytics. So they're going to always be posting internship opportunities and all that. Whenever you see it, apply. Once you apply, shoot a random email to somebody within that organization that say, hey, my name is Romie and I'm interested. I saw you guys posted that position. I'm interested. Who knows? Might not go, or it might get to the person that you needed to do. So I would definitely say that talk to everyone about what you want to do and go from there.
Yeah, and I think it kind of goes back to what you've already said and just the way that you treat people. Every interaction you have with people, you never know who they might know. If you can just treat people with respect and treat them, really with love and just be excited and bring energy to those interactions, like that can go a really long way in building that network and building those relationships. We got some more questions coming in, so I'm just going to keep going here to these student questions. This is from Kendall, Alabama State University. And Kendall wants to know, Romie, what has been your biggest challenge for you to get to where you are today?
My biggest challenge to get where I am today, to be honest, was just always going back to like my upbringing. Like people always say like you're a product of your environment. So sometimes that always got in the way. But if you keep your mindset right and do the right thing, you'll be good. So my biggest challenge was always like self-doubt, to be honest. And I think that's just what it is. It's self-doubt. Always doubt myself, knowing that I can handle it, but I would have to say self-doubt sometimes.
I guess kind of a follow-up to that. What are some ways that you've had maybe people pour into you or things you've read or heard that have helped you overcome that? I mean, we've got a lot of students watching this program and they're looking at you and they're like, man, Romie's living the dream. He's working for an NFL team. He's working for the Cleveland Browns. So how have you overcome maybe some of those self-doubts that you've had, I guess?
By being honest with myself and being honest with every situation. Like if we go into a room and it's me, you, and Jacob, if Jacob is a professional in the room that we're in, then I would suggest that he take lead on this. If we go into the next room and then you're the professional, then you take lead. Vice versa, when we get into the room or my area where I'm the expertise, then I take lead. So I think you just got to be honest with yourself and know that no one's perfect. No matter what position, what the title, no one is perfect. We're all humans, and we all have our doubts. And so that's being very, very self-aware.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to say self-evaluation. You got to constantly be evaluating yourself. Self-awareness. That's another great way to describe that. Our next student question. This is from Oliver from Suffolk University in Boston. Romie, how did you know community relations, youth football, that was the career that you wanted to have? How did you know? When did that light bulb moment happen for you? Because I think we probably have a lot of students. I mean, I was there. I was undeclared. I didn't know what I wanted to major in. They're sitting there. They're unsure, where they're being pulled or where they're driven in. how did you know? And maybe that can relate to some of our students.
Yeah, so like everyone else growing up, oh, I want to be an NFL player or I want to be a basketball player, professional basketball player. You get to the point where again, that self-awareness kick in and it's like you don't meet the you don't meet the measurement. So okay, now what are you gonna do? And like I said, I love being a role model, mentor, giving back. So what's the next best thing? Well, it's coaching. You're still around the game. You're still connected, and you're still pouring back. So I knew when I was in college that I wanted to be a football coach. That was like this is what I want to do. This is where I want to go, and this is the path I want to take. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, for sure. I think another great piece of that is just explore different opportunities. You never know what's going to excite you as a student, the experiences you've had. I mean, we can read your bio, you said you wanted to be a football coach. You start getting some experience in that. Then, you start to see, man, the passion is not just in coaching football, it's giving back to the youth. You're working in a school, you get to experience that. And now you really have it all combined together with the Browns. So I would encourage our students to explore as many opportunities as possible. And that's not the only encouragement I'm going to offer our students. I want to encourage them to keep submitting more questions. I see we got a couple more, but I'm going to sift through those and make sure we're prepped up for those questions. But for now, I'm going to send it back to Jake to continue this great conversation we're having.
Thanks, Nathan. Yeah, see those questions rolling in. Got some awesome ones that we see. Going to touch on some cool topics coming up here. I know that for sure. But Romie, kind of getting back to, your career with the Browns, we always say that, working in sports, you get to take part in some pretty cool things. Now you've been in the NFL for a very short amount of time working with the Browns, but you've had a lot of different jobs, like, as we've mentioned previously throughout your career. So I always like the joke, when you're retired, sitting back in the lazy boy, talking to grandkids, what is that one moment you've had in your career so far where you can say, man, I can't believe I was there? What was that moment for you, and kind of talk a little bit about how that impacted your career, where you work at right now?
So the one moment that I would have to say is actually getting a call saying that I got the job. Like I legit was in tears because it's like, again, we always want to be, we want to be in the NFL. So for that call to finally come through, it's like, oh man, like it was like surreal to sort of say. But that was my moment. It was personal. It was just with, again, being self-aware. Within me and myself, was just me and my two boys at home. So like it was that moment. I'm like, oh man, this is it. This, because what they always say, the hardest thing to do is get your foot in the door. So now that was my chance, that was my opportunity to get my foot in the door. So it's definitely that moment when I got the call.
You touched on this with the last question about, how you knew that you wanted to be in the career path you're in now, but looking at it from the student's perspective, if they're in high school, even college, maybe they're graduating, they still don't really know what they want to do. What would your advice be to those students in that situation and scenario? And what would be some tips to, for them to go out and try and find the thing that they like to do? What would you say for somebody who's kind of in those shoes right now?
If you're in high school right now, I would say definitely get involved in everything. Like you would never, ever get that opportunity again to go back to high school. So if you're in high school, definitely try and get involved in everything you can. And if you're in college, and to be honest, what happened for me was, I remember it like it was yesterday. My head coach, I was walking in class one day and he called me over and he said, hey, come take a seat. Sat down, we're talking, and then he looked at me and he said, I've seen plenty of guys like you come through here. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't get in trouble. I don't do this. He's just like, I'm not saying you get in trouble or anything, but I've seen plenty of guys come through here and just go through emotion. He was like, well, I'm going to challenge you. Like, I'm challenging, like, do something different. Step outside of your comfort zone. And 2 weeks later, I'm going in a fraternity. So I'm just like, and then I go back to like, well, you said challenge myself, step outside my comfort zone. So that's what I did. And to be honest, that was another big move in my life where I feel like that was a good decision, because then after that, I became a leader on the team. I became more accountable, and it helped me grow up. So like you have to step outside your comfort zone, and if you're younger, get involved in everything, because you never know what's going to click.
You talk about stepping outside your comfort zone. I think that's a great transition into talking about, networking. And there's so many different ways to do it, nowadays, whether it's conferences or programs like this, or, blind emailing people from a media guide. People do have to step out of their comfort zones to start the network. So for those students who are asking questions today, they might be stepping out of their comfort zone. Or maybe they're more comfortable asking it in a chat rather than asking it in person. So when you look at networking specifically, how important is it for, that shy kid to go introduce themselves to somebody, or for somebody to maybe send a blind email or a blind message? How important is it on that side of things to step out of the comfort zone to start to grow your network?
So I think the worst anyone can say is no. That is the absolute worst. So if you're okay with someone saying no, then you're fine. You have nothing to worry about. So that's it. And just treat people well. Treat people like, again, I keep going back to it. Everything in life is about relationship. Like if you want to go into business, no one is gonna buy from you if they don't like you. You could be selling the worst product on the market, but if they like you, they're gonna buy from you and they're gonna support you. And it goes back to what I used to tell my players in college and high school. No teacher is gonna fail you if they like you. You have this kid who they like, and you have this kid who's always getting in trouble or whatever. The kid who they like, they're gonna do everything in their power to make sure that you at least get that D to pass. They're gonna give you extra work, even though the policy is we don't provide extra work. We like you, so we're gonna give you the extra work so that you can get ahead. So it goes back to relationship. That is the biggest thing I want you guys to take away from this. Treat everyone the way that you would want to be treated, and you will be successful in life.
Now you've seen, like you said, you've talked about your transition a few times now, coming from the high school, college level into the NFL to work full time on the business side now. So I am assuming with that comes a lot of learning, drinking from the fire hose and trying to soak it all in at once. So, you've had the unique perspective of having kind of two separate careers. So how do you continue to better your craft, continue to learn, continue to grow as a young professional? A lot of people think once they get a job, done learning, don't have to do any more of it, but you're consistently learning on a day-to-day basis, even when you have that full-time job. So what are some of the things you do to make sure you're the best employee that you can be for the Cleveland Browns?
Well, I'm here to tell you that you never stop learning. So in my previous job, I did feel like I was the expert and I knew it all, and come through me, I'm the example. Well, guess what? Now you're absolutely right. I'm drinking from the hose, and it's, again, every day is something different. But I also challenge myself, like, how can you be better? Like, and I tell myself, okay, I give it a year. Next year when it comes back around, it won't be the same. I will be better because I'm challenging myself, and I'm already looking forward to it. Like, and I set personal goals. Like, this was really bad. How can it be better? So next time it comes around, it's gonna be better because my mindset is already there that it's gonna be better next time when I get a chance. So it's all about your mindset, and got to continue to always want to learn.
Awesome. Well, I mentioned at the beginning what we believe in here at the Hall of Fame, our mission statement, and that's to honor the greatest of the game, preserve its history, promote its values, and celebrate excellence together. So we'd be remiss if we didn't focus in on, preserving the history, because at the core of what we are here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, we're a museum. So we preserve the history of this great game of football from when it started in the late 1800s all the way up to, people who are in the game today, including some awesome folks from the Cleveland Browns. So without spoiling the surprise too much, we're going to send it out to Nathan Martin again, who's now out in the museum in front of some very cool artifacts we have from the Cleveland Browns organization. So Nathan, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Yeah, thank you again, Jake, for sending it out here. I'm live in the museum. We got a lot of people here. We're honoring the men and women that have served our country. It's Veterans Day, so a lot of activity out here in the museum. And I'm standing in our Pro Football Today gallery, actually in the shadow of this huge photo of Jim Brown, where we honor the league leading rushers. And, it's Jim Brown, and it was Walter Payton, Emmitt Smith. But behind me, you guys can see there's this sideline jacket, and this is from Callie Brownson, chief of staff with the Cleveland Browns, working under Coach Stefanski. And she made history back in 2020. She became the first female to coach a position group, coach the tight ends during an NFL game. A trailblazer in her own right. And I'm sure, Romie, that you've crossed paths with Callie before, and we've been happy enough to welcome her here down at the Hall of Fame to tour the museum and whatnot. But, and
learning more about what you do, Romie, in your role, we were looking and you've been a part of the Trailblaze Her, I should have said hashtag Trailblaze Her movement that you guys have kind of started up there with the Browns and promoting and growing the game of football for young girls. So can you kind of explain to us and our viewers what your work is in that field of promoting the game to, young ladies as well?
So we are an organization that we are everyone's equal. So like we don't like if you're a girl and you want to play, you can play. And why not? Why shouldn't they have the same opportunity we have? So that's first off, that's where we start. And my Hannah Lee, we work together well. She's doing phenomenal in that area, and we're really pushing it. I think the NFL is pushing it as well. And in a couple of years, don't be surprised if flag football is part of the Olympic sport. So if it's going to be part of the Olympic sport, why not have it trickle all the way down? Let's get this thing in high school. Let's make sure that it's as popular as everything else that we do. So we're definitely all for it, and anything we can do to support.
Yeah, for sure. We know that down here. We know that you guys hosted a clinic actually down here at the Hall of Fame Village on some of the youth fields that we've got with the Forever Lawn Sports Complex. So love seeing the work that you guys do. Love seeing the work that Callie's doing with the Browns, and definitely encourage you guys to keep doing that. But from out here in the museum, this is all I got. I'm going to send it back to Jake. Hopefully we've got some great student questions there waiting for me to get engaged with Romie that way. But for now, back to Jake.
Awesome. Thanks, Nathan. I want to kind of grow on, some of the things Nathan and Romie, you talked about there. You talk about girls flag, and we were very fortunate enough to work with you and Hannah last Enshrinement Week, powered by Johnson Controls. At halftime of the Hall of Fame game, we actually had two teams from the Northeast Ohio Girls Flag Football League play. And I would tell you what, there were some highlights. There were some trick plays. We told the coaches to break every trick play they had out at halftime. The fans got into it. The NFL were sending out videos of that. And then, yesterday, the day before, I see this clip from ESPN where they're highlighting the same two teams on NFL Live. I hear Randy Moss talking about them, shouting out the coaches there. So for you to see that impact and that level of exposure for girls flag, specifically teams and coaches that you work with on a day-to-day basis, how cool is it to see those videos and see those moments for not only yourself, but for those girls who are putting in all the work and all the time playing flag football?
That was absolutely amazing because, again, like you said, we work with them. We know them personally. We've seen them. And what I would say is for anyone who have any kind of doubt, go check it out. Those girls get after it. And as a coach, that's all you want. When you see someone's competing and really putting in the work, if they don't gain your respect, then it's something wrong with you. But those girls definitely get after it.
And I saw it firsthand. I was on the sidelines watching that, and it is very cool. And, they truly love what they do. At the end of the day, like we talked about, not only in sports and your careers, but if you find something you're passionate about, you love to do, you're going to strive to excel at that. And, and football is a great example of that. So, we're unapologetically football here at the Hall of Fame, as I'm sure you are at the Browns as well. And there's so many things out there that can teach you life lessons and teach you how to live a better life. But we believe football is at the top of that list. So Romie, in your experiences, and you've seen it all, you've seen the youth level, high school level, the college football level, and now you're working for an NFL team. How does the game of football teach those who watch it, play it, coach it, are involved in the game about their life and those important life lessons that they can use to make them a better person?
The game of football teaches something that I think no other sport can teach you because it's everyone on the field working together to accomplish one common goal. So like everyone has to be in sync. The game of football also teaches you how to deal with adversity in real life. And I think with me, even my own personal stories, just like, okay, I've been through this. I've been in this situation. Well, how? Because when I was playing, this happened. And if you know what to come with, like I said earlier, when something come around the second time, no way it's going to defeat me or even affect me because my mindset is, I got it. I've been there before. I know how to do it. So it's just like, it teaches you things that just going through life and not participating in anything, you won't get it. Like it beats you down, it builds you up, and it's from A to Z. You're gonna get it, no matter what the situation is. The game of football will and have prepared you for it.
And, using your platform, the game of football and the Cleveland Browns and the NFL, you've obviously got to be a part of some very cool events out in the community. So can you pinpoint one of those events that kind of stands out to you as maybe the coolest, or maybe you saw the most impact, the greatest story come out of that? What are some of those events that you've seen in the community that have truly left an impact in your time that you've been in Cleveland so far?
So for me, it would have to be, so I got hired in May. And then in June, we're doing a football camp, and we're doing it in the city of Garfield. So when I get back there to see, like, oh man, this is my family. This is my family I'm giving back to. And it's like, everyone's like, I'm so proud of you. We're so happy for you. It's one of those situations like where we come from. If one person make it out, I didn't just make it out for me. Like I made it out for the whole community, for the whole neighborhood. So that would have to be like the most rewarding thing. Like when you go back and it's like, man, we're so proud of you. So that's one of those feelings that you can't put a price on.
Absolutely. I just got a message from Nathan here. I do apologize. It looked like I stole a student's question. So whoever asked the question I just asked, I am sorry. But hopefully we get some awesome things here from Nathan. Nathan says he got some more questions, so we're going to send it over to him here for some more students' questions.
Yeah, thanks again. I'm just going to dive right into these questions we got from our students. First one's coming from Reese, a student at the University of Cincinnati. Very unique. I know it doesn't really pertain to your field, but we never know what kind of questions we're going to get, Romie. And Reese wants to know, what are the types of careers, or is there any difference in trying to pursue a career in cinematography, the video side of things, working in the NFL? Kind of maybe you can highlight some of the people that work at the Browns that are doing that work in video productions. Obviously, everyone knows NFL Films is a huge thing that, is a partner, I'm sure, with you guys and us here at the Hall. So kind of what have you seen in your time at the Browns, people working in the video side of things?
So every professional sport have their own video crew, including us. So that's not a crazy question. We have our own video crew, and every event that we do, they're there. They're part of it. They're on game day. If we go do an event in the community, they're there. If we go out and we're doing interviews, they're doing it. So that they play a huge role in what we do, and because they are the one that's pushing out the message. So like your guys' video crew right now, they're the one that's gonna push this out to the world to see. So like those guys play a huge role, and they are heavily involved in everything that goes on.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And actually, as you were answering that, it came to my mind. I think it was last year, maybe it's 2 years ago. Jake might remember. We've done so many of these programs before the snap. We had Dustin Blinder from the Detroit Lions, and that's kind of what his job is. That's his career, working on the video side of things, not just thinking recording the film of the sideline stuff, but like takes it to a whole nother level where he's like creating documentaries and stuff, featuring the players and high level production quality for what's going out on the website and that type of thing. So definitely, I want to encourage Reese, go ahead and take a look at that program if you want to hear a little bit more about that career, as far as what's entailed there inside the NFL. Our next question comes from Brian, and I like this question. I think Brian has watched these programs before. He's from the University of Illinois, and he said, Romie, I've heard these guys, they talk about it. Send that initial contact, connect with someone on LinkedIn, tell them that you're interested in their career. And I'm doing that. I've made that initial contact. But how do I professionally maintain that connection and grow that network? Because you're not just overnight going to automatically be texting somebody on the side and your best friend. So how can Brian and our other students maintain these connections, these relationships they're building in a professional manner, where they're not going to annoy the person in your seat working for the Cleveland Browns? Like, dang, why does this student keep emailing me? Like I've responded before. How would you advise that for our students?
So first, I would say definitely don't want to do it every day or every other day, but you want to be consistent, right? So stay on it. Do it. Set your calendar maybe once every other month or something like that, just so every now and then you're still fresh. It's not every day where you're being a burden, but it's every other month. Hey, just checking in, and good win last week, whatever. Or hey, see, you guys have this big project coming up. Any way I can help, let me know. I will do whatever. So you definitely want to be consistent on reaching out. but you don't want to do it every single day or every other week.
Yeah, I like too, and maybe you did it intentionally, maybe you didn't even think about it. You included in there like very specific details that they can provide. Like if you're reaching out to someone in the NFL, like, did the Browns win that Sunday? Like it could be a simple, hey, I saw y'all beat the Steelers. That's a big rivalry win. Congratulations. Or like you said, take it a step further. What is Romie doing in the community relations field? You can kind of look at their calendar of events and say, hey, I see you guys have this amazing event, or you just finished this amazing event. That way, it is a relationship. It's showing that you're invested. It's showing that you're actually interested beyond just like, hey, I want a job in the NFL. And it makes it more authentic. So, Brian, I think we would encourage you that way. The calendar reminder is a great tool. I know I've done that myself. I'm trying to build a network, try to be consistent, every 2 or 3 months, just kind of touching base with people. So definitely love that question, Brian. And thank you for watching these programs on a pretty consistent basis. Our next question is from Raymond, and this is the one that Jake kind of stole. So I'm going to try to twist it a little bit here and see if we can get another question out of it. He also attends Cincinnati, and he wants to know, Romie, Jake talked about those events that you've worked with the Browns that have kind of been very meaningful for you. But let's take it a step further. Is there a moment in your life or in your career where you're like, the hard work that I poured in, like I know I invested time, energy, sweat, blood, and tears into this, and it's paid off? And can you kind of just speak to maybe one of those experiences in your life to encourage your students that way?
So that also goes back to my mindset. Like I'm the type that I don't question anything, good, bad, ugly. I don't question it. I accept it. I soak. I celebrate whatever it may be for a second or two, but I accept it for what it is, and then I move on. So my mindset is I was always going to be in this seat some way or another. No matter what work I have to do, I'm going to make it there. So it's just got to have the right mindset, and to me, that's it. Like your mindset can control everything. So just have the right mindset that you're gonna be successful. You're gonna be whatever you want to be, and good things are gonna come along the way. But bad things are also gonna come. But if you keep your mindset and stay positive, no matter what, you're gonna get there. And we all know we get there when the time is right, not when you want to get there. So when the time is right, that's when you're gonna get there. But if you have the right mindset, that separates you from 80% of everyone already just by having the right mindset.
Yeah, for sure. The mind is such a powerful a tool, asset that we have, and I think you've already kind of touched on it. I mean, you said the joy that you had when the Browns called you and offered you the job, you were in tears. And like, I think that's just a story. That's an example of all the hard work that you put in throughout college, and then you're a young professional, and then now you get that opportunity. That's an example of something really paying off, I think, in your career. And I'm sure Jake could give similar, anecdotes and stories. I could do the same, but the program's not about us. So we're going to keep asking you questions, Romie. This is the last one I actually have from our students, and then we'll send it back to Jake. And this is an interesting question. Jake might have some insight as far as how the Hall of Fame handles this, because Kendall is smart. Kendall said, I'm going to get 2 for the price of 1. I'm going to get a question to Romie, and I'm going to get a question to the Hall of Fame. So Kendall from Alabama State says, can you guys talk a little bit about what the NFL or the Cleveland Browns, maybe in particular, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, what they're doing to get more diversity, more HBCU students involved, whether it be entry-level positions, internships, on the coaching side of things? What are some of the things you're seeing and the Browns are kind of doing to kind of increase that diversity level within the organization, Romie?
So with me, that hit personally because I was a recipient of the Bill Walsh Minority Internship with the 49ers back in 2016. So I think the NFL is doing a great job of trying to get it out. And I know here at the Browns, we also have our own minority internship program. So we're definitely trying to make sure that we're mindful about those hires. And also, whenever you see a position come open, send your stuff in. If you're qualified, then we're gonna give you a look.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I want to thank you, Romie, for taking time out of your day. This has been a great conversation. Love hearing just the passion you have for the community and young people, and the advice you've given has been amazing. So thank you again for being a part of the program on behalf of myself and the students. But for now, I'm going to send it back to Jake to kind of wrap things up here.
Thanks, Nathan. Yeah, and they follow up on some of the stuff that we're doing here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, along with HBCUs. If you're not familiar with it, but the Pro Football Hall of Fame is home to the Black College Football Hall of Fame that highlights some of the best college football players that went to those HBCUs from all over the country. So that's one aspect of things we're doing here at the Hall of Fame. Then we also, over Labor Day weekend, host the Black College Football Hall of Fame Classic. And we do a lot of great community events within schools and within the community. And we have this awesome fan fest that goes on, and all that culminates on the Sunday before Labor Day is hosting the Classic Weekend game that features two HBCUs. Last year, here about a month and 2 months ago, we were fortunate enough to have Stephen A. Smith bring First Take here, and we were live with Stephen A. Smith here in Canton, Ohio, for First Take that day. We had the games, the band, so many cool things going on, and we're really proud to host that here in Canton, Ohio. So we here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame are doing a lot with those HBCUs and the Black College Football Hall of Fame as well. To further that part, if you're interested in learning more about that, go ahead and check out our website. On January 20th, though, we're going to have our own member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame here. Her name is Taylor Abbott. She is actually the Black College Football Hall of Fame liaison between the Black College Football Hall of Fame and the Hall of Fame here in Canton. And she's going to talk a lot about her job as well. So if you're interested in learning more about that, make sure you tune in on January 20th. Getting back to you, Romie, not the sidebar there, a little bit about us at the Hall of Fame, but getting back to you, you talked a lot about there, you've seen the impact, and, can you touch a little bit on what that receiving that scholarship, that Bill Walsh Minority Scholarship, what was that like for you? And, how were you able to take receiving that and, better your own career? And what were some of the things you got to do with that?
So when I received it, I was the assistant receiver. I was a receivers coach at Allegheny, and I applied for it, and I got it. I got to flew out with the 49ers. I was there, and I was the special team intern for training camp. So, and it really opened my eyes to, like, okay, despite what you see on TV, like, these guys are professional. This is what they do for a living. This is a business. And I always tell my brothers, like, it was like, well, what was the coolest thing, or the thing that shocked you the most? Is like, okay, let's say a meeting start at 1. At 12:55, 12:58, it's crazy. It's crazy. As soon as 1 o'clock hit, you could hear a pin drop in the room. And it was like, okay, this is real. Like, they know how to, like, in high school, we always say, if there's no such thing as flipping the switch on and off, well, guess what? When it's your job, that's what you do. So that was one of the biggest thing I learned, and also just like how to be a professional, how to carry yourself, knowing that you're always, and I say this, me being a coach, I tell all my coaching friends, like, you have to look at it from the standpoint that the kids are always evaluating you. As a person in my position, I am always being evaluated. All eyes on me at all times, especially when things go bad. So that it opened my eyes to see, like, okay, always be on your P's and Q's, always carry yourself in high character and integrity. So that was what my experience was like.
We're winding down a program here. Just got a few more questions. But before we get to our last question, I do want to get into our special segment we're doing here this year, our rapid fire question segment. I got 6 questions here for you, Romie, to ask. Rapid fire, first answer that comes to your mind. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Number 1, LinkedIn, a great way to network or just another social media app?
When I was younger, just another social media, but now it's a great way.
Number 2, GPA on a resume, keep it or leave it off?
If you're higher than a 3.8, put it on there. You earned it. If you're lower, leave it off.
Social media accounts, public or private?
I'm definitely private.
Jeans at work, all day, every day? Never, or only on Fridays?
Casual Fridays. Relax a little bit.
All right, coin toss, heads or tails?
I want head.
And then the last one here, score a touchdown, go-to touchdown celebration.
Well, right now it's got to be the grittier. If you don't do that, then you're not even celebrating, right?
We've asked that question every program so far, and I think half the answers have been the gritty. So
It has to be. So
thanks for that. I appreciate that. Nice little fun thing way before we wrap it up here. And also our last question here today. And we ask this to every program we do, whether it's with a Hall of Famer or when we do before the snap. A lot of great tips and tricks today for students who tuned in. But if there's one thing you want them to take away, one tip, one trick, one idea, one inspirational message, even, what is that one thing you want those who watch this program to walk away with and be able to apply to their everyday life?
just that everything starts and ends with your mindset. No matter what the situation is, no matter what's going on, it's all about the mindset. If you tell yourself you're going to get through it, you're going to get through it. If you tell yourself you're going to get over it, you're going to get over it. If you tell yourself you're going to be successful, you're going to be successful. So it's all about the mindset. I can't stress that enough.
With that, we're going to wrap up this latest installment of the Pro Football Hall of Fame's Before the Snap series today, featuring Romie Graham, the manager of youth football for the Cleveland Browns. Again, Romie, thank you so much for being part of the Before the Snap, taking time out of your busy schedule to sit down with us. I know that I enjoyed it, Nathan enjoyed it, and I hope that students enjoyed it as well. Before we leave today, a few other quick reminders. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow anything that we have here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame on our social media channels. Do that with the Cleveland Browns as well. See all the great things they're doing out in their community. They're going to be out here hitting the road every Friday as we roll into state championship time here in Ohio for high school football. So make sure you tune in and see all the great coverage that they're giving of that. If you're a podcast listener, I always like to plug our podcast here at the Hall of Fame, The Mission, hosted by our great friend and coworker here, Jameer Howerton. Going to be interviewing some Hall of Famers, talking shop, talking about the game of football, their outlook on the season and things that have happened in the NFL so far. So make sure you give that a subscribe and a follow as well. Next program, we're going to take some time off. We got the Thanksgiving coming up, the holidays. So we're not going to have any programs for the next 2 weeks. Our next program will be on December 2nd, and it's going to be featuring Linda Cohn, which is one we're super excited about. Linda Cohn is a longtime ESPN employee, a host of SportsCenter, a host of In the Crease. She's talking about hockey. So we're super excited to get to talk to her and pick her brain about her career and all the great things she's seen as working for ESPN, specifically working for maybe the top sports show of all time in SportsCenter. As I said at the beginning, we do this program Before the Snap to showcase all the great work that goes into making the game possible, as we call Before the Snap happens. And Romie is just a small part of that. So again, Romie, thank you for being a part of today. Thank you for everything you do for the game of football, and truly thank you for everything you do for us here at the Hall of Fame.
Thank you guys for having me.
As I said, so again, to all of our students out there, thank you for tuning in. So from Romie, myself, Nathan, and all of our staff here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, thank you so much for tuning in.